Rakib, let's start with the rape gang scandal. I'm just going to call it the rape gang scandal because that is what it is. And I think it is absolutely right to give it its proper title, to talk about what has been doing. This is child exploitation. This is sexual exploitation. We know that there was a big report into child exploitation. We know that there were many different recommendations that were there. And we know that the Conservatives sat on those for 18 months. Are they now being hypocritical? People are saying that Jess Phillips, the minister, the Labour minister, is being hypocritical. Are the Conservatives being hypocritical as well in this, do you think, Rakib?
Oh, no, absolutely, Bjorn. I think when it comes to the industrial scale child sexual abuse, which is taking
Rakib, are you there?
place in this country over decades, I think it's a fundamental failure of the... Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. You just froze there for a couple of seconds. Keep going. You're all good. I think we've got you.
Okay. No, so I'll tell you, I think the point I'd make is that it's a failure of the British political establishment. That's what it is. And that this failure spans different political parties. The Conservatives were in power for 14 years. So for now, for Kemi Badenoch to call for a national inquiry, it just seems a little bit hypocritical to me, really. They had plenty of time to do that.
In fairness, the Conservatives did do an inquiry into child sexual exploitation. This was the Professor Alexis Jay inquiry. There were lots of recommendations which they didn't implement. They sat on it and gathered dust for 18 months and is still gathering dust. Now, Labour say that they are acting at pace, as they say, whatever that means, in opposition, called for and supported. They told us in a statement yesterday the national inquiry into child sexual abuse under Professor Alexis Jay, which concluded in 2022. The Labour government is now working at pace to implement the recommendations, including introducing a duty to report. Well, they haven't introduced that yet, and now we have Elon Musk. He's attacked the government's handling of grooming gangs, of rape gangs. Sorry, I'm going to give them the correct title. I'm going to do that if I remember right throughout this programme and indeed beyond. Now, Elon Musk has said certain things about this. He said that Jess Phillips is a rape genocide apologist. This was the reaction of Wes Streeting, the health secretary. He was talking to the media this morning. This is what he told the BBC.
So if Elon Musk wants, or anyone else for that matter.
I think we just have a little issue with that clip. We'll get that, we'll play that as soon as we can. But he told, Wes Streeting said, some of the criticisms Elon Musk has made, I think, are misjudged and certainly misinformed. But we're willing to work with Elon Musk, who I think has got a big role to play with his social media platform to help us and other countries tackle these serious issues. If he wants to work with us and roll his sleeves up, we'd welcome that. What do you make of those comments, Rakib?
Well, I think that ultimately it's very clear that Elon Musk likes intervening in British social issues. I think that one thing we have to make very clear here is that, as what I said before, this is a failure of the British political establishment, and I think that there is an opportunity here to have a national inquiry looking into that. You talked previously there, Peter, about their independent inquiry into child sex abuse, where the last report was published in 2022. Professor Alexis Jay has actually expressed her frustrations over the fact that none of her 20 recommendations have yet to be enacted.
And that's on the Conservatives. That's on the Conservatives for 18 months and Labour for 6 months. And when Labour says they're working at pace to implement their recommendations, guys, you've had 6 months. What progress have you made on this? Let's hear that Wes Streeting clip now. We've fixed the gremlins in the system, I think. Let's hear from Wes Streeting. This is what he told the BBC this morning.
So if Elon Musk wants, or anyone else for that matter, wants to roll their sleeves up and work with us on this serious issue, we're all ears and we're willing to do that. I think some of the things he said criticising this government have certainly been misinformed, if not ill-judged, but we're willing to work with anyone, including Elon Musk, if they want to use their power, their influence and their platforms to help us tackle what are really serious issues around child sexual exploitation.
Do you think Elon Musk was ill-judged and misinformed? Rakib, what do you make of what Wes Streeting was saying there?
Well, I think that what we're looking at here is how the inquiry should be supported and ultimately who should be in charge of the inquiry. Now, there's talks about this inquiry looking into Oldham being a Home Office-backed inquiry. I think what Jess Phillips is arguing for is for a local inquiry, which follows the model of the inquiries which took place in other parts of the country where there's been decades-long child sexual abuse by grooming gangs, areas such as Rotherham Durham and Telford. So I think the issue here is whether it should be a national inquiry supported backed by the Home
it's
Office.
the nature, sorry to interrupt you, Rakib, but it's the nature of the inquiry itself, is the powers that the inquiry has. Indeed. Whether that is a full public inquiry, because this Alexis Jay's inquiry was not one that had the full rights to say, right, we can compel people to come, we can get the evidence, we can ask for documents, we can tell politicians, leaders in the community, go and sit in that chair, we're going to ask you questions from a KC, from a senior lawyer, to actually get answers out of you, because an inquiry like that hasn't been done. And my question in all of this, and I'd love Labour to answer this, and I did ask Jess Phillips to come on this programme today through her representatives, answer came there none. I would love to know, is there actually a bigger plan here? Because if there is, I would fully support it. Are you going to have a big public inquiry in this regard? Is there going to be a judge-led public inquiry with full statutory powers? Is that what you're planning? Because if it is, I think we can all welcome that.
No, absolutely. I think many people will say that we've had numerous inquiries now and countless reports, but actually very little has been done in terms of arrests and prosecutions. And I think there would be support for a full statutory inquiry. But I think what people want to see, they want to see robust action being taken. There's still people in British society who may have been directly involved in grooming gang activity, rape, torture, coercion, exploitation. They've yet to be prosecuted. Yeah. They've not been convicted.
Well, we know that nine men were convicted of sex trafficking and other offences in Rochdale, including rape in 2012. 8 were of British Pakistani origin. 1 was an Afghan asylum seeker. Since then, a further 33 men have been convicted. Greater Manchester Police has apologised for failing to investigate earlier allegations more thoroughly. The fact is, this is the tip of the iceberg. There's so much more of this happening, and it is happening today, and we need to do something about it. And the political class, to me, doesn't seem to want to do anything about it. And instead, when they do launch an inquiry, it's into social care. Yeah, okay, we should deal with that. But nothing's going to happen on that front for 3 years. What do you make of that aspect of the political discussion today, Rakib?
Well, that's a huge problem in itself. We have a social care system which is very much bursting at the seams. And I think if you look here, I like the idea of social care reform having that national consensus, cross-party support. And Baroness Casey, who'd be heading this, she has a fine record. As you said, she's done very important work in homelessness, also in social integration. She did the 2016 review into opportunity and integration. But I think the timeline here is just too long. I think it would end in 2028. It doesn't leave very much time for any of these recommendations to be enacted before the end of this parliamentary term.
And actually makes it a much bigger political issue, a bigger electoral issue, because surely you're going to have one party, Labour, saying, well, we should do this. We're going to have the Conservatives and maybe Reform UK saying it's too expensive. I mean, you're not going to get cross-party consensus if you have a report coming out in 2028 and an election in 2029.
No, absolutely. I think there's such an urgent issue. Of course, you don't want it to be rushed, but equally, you don't want a timeline which is so long as well. We need to take urgent action in terms of reforming social care. And I think that, in a way, what this really shows me is that Labour don't have many of their own ideas in terms of how to reform the country for the best.
And they've had 14 years to come up with them. Rakib, thank you very much. That's Dr. Rakib Ehsan, talks a lot of sense there.